they happen to always some VIP. I happen to be in Chongqing, and many times, and then a lot of the charter flight for the like a OSS during the war, and they set up a radio station, and most of the charter flight and where they want to go, usually I take them. Especially up to Mongolia during the war, they have to set up a radio station way west of Beijing, because they report the weather because weather moved from west to east, and they didn't know what kind of weather coming when they want to bomb Tokyo. So it took them 3 months by highway, because at nighttime they cannot travel because they didn't want anyone to see that the Americans are going north. So when they want to go, they ask the U.S. Air Force to send them. The U.S. Air Force wouldn't take them because they said they don't want to lose the airplane up in the Mongolia. Then they got me I took. But that's why many times certain kind of charter always happened that I was there.
So what happened then? Can you just
No,
take us
I
through?
took up into up to out of Mongolia, and then many charter, the U.S. Navy had set up a radio station for weather purpose and also for intelligence.
So I understand that, but can you just bring us back to when you were actually flying the plane and you picked up Chanel, I think in Kunming, right? And then you
No,
picked up
the one Doolittle, Jimmy
Yeah.
Doolittle bombed Japan. They took off from the aircraft carrier because they took off a little farther from Japan, because they saw a fishing boat sighted them. So they afraid that he must have informed Japan there's an aircraft carrier going. So they took off earlier, about 500 miles earlier than they should, and a lot of them they landed in the landed in the dark, and Doolittle landed south of Hangzhou, south of Shanghai. And then he went to Chongqing. I picked him up and took him to Mitchell in Burma, and Burma was falling. I did not know. They told me to go pick up the radio station. That was the last day, and he was on board. I didn't know he bombed Japan.
Can you just describe the scene when you landed in Michna, and then when the town just fell? Can you just tell us about that?
Well, let's say when we leave Chongqing, our schedule was delayed because waiting for a passenger. And then since we waiting for passenger because American consular or American ambassador was at the airfield, and they request we hold for a passenger. So when we saw a man came down and got on the plane, the ambassador and all the people from the American consulate shook hands and waved goodbye to him. But I didn't know who got on the plane because I was sitting on the cockpit. And then when we had the air raid alarm on the way to Kunming, then we had to find an airfield we could land, so wait for the alarm over. We land on it was not an airfield, it was a landing strip on the side of a mountain. So we land uphill and taxi back down, and we got everybody off the plane, and I went into a ditch, and there was a man one of the passengers came and where I was in the ditch, he was next to me. Then I saw his name was Jimmy Doolittle. So I knew him in Shanghai when he bought the Curtis Hartford demonstration in 1933. And actually, I was also work as a mechanic. I helped them to assemble this plane for demonstration. And then I asked him, you know, those days he wouldn't remember me. But I asked him, I told him about the plane. And then when the alarm was clear, then we got the passenger on the plane. He didn't want to get onto the plane. He asked me what direction I want to take off because the wind was coming from top of the mountain towards the bottom of the mountain. And I told him I was going to take off downwind, downhill. And then he said, okay, I get on the plane. Because if he said, if I take off into the wind, he said, I'm going to stay right here. Then when we got to Kunming, General Chennault met the plane, and they drove off. And then when we were ready to go leave Kunming, General Chennault saw him at the airfield, and we took off for Mitchell, but actually he did not know we were going to Mitchell because we were flying low. We were going west instead of northwest, and he wrote a little note on a piece of paper. He said that the ambassador in Chongqing that morning told him Mitchell would be lost that afternoon. And then I told the radio operator to go tell him. I said, the company would not tell me to go land there if the Mitchell's already gone. But we tried to contact the radio operator. He contacted us right after we took off from Kunming. He assembled the radio equipment and took us to the airfield. And then the radio operator said he cannot get any reply from them. So we head on for Mitchell anyway. Then we saw one airplane. He was about 4,000 or 5,000 feet up. And that was the last plane left Mitchell. So we know we were still safe to land. We landed there. When we approached the airfield, we saw all the refugees were going away from the airfield towards town. Then when they heard our airplane, then they all rushed back to the airfield. And they were trying to get on the plane. And we couldn't do anything to keep them away from the plane. We took the step ladder off so they cannot climb up. And then we tried to get as many, and Doolittle helped to get the people up to the plane. And one of the, we pick up a lady, well, I don't know how old she was not old, and she jumped back up because we didn't let her husband get on the plane because we said all the young people walk. So she went back on the plane, and then and then Jimmy Doolittle asked me, say, do you know what you were doing? He didn't say, he said, what the hell are you doing? I said, oh, they don't weigh very much, see? Because then all that the cabin was full. And then we pull up the ladder, and then we closed the door when they took off. Instead of going to Xinjiang for gas, we thought we just got enough gas to go to Calcutta. Then we took off for Calcutta, and we landed. That was in the dark already. And then the American consular people were out there to meet the plane. And he didn't go through customs, he didn't go through immigration, he just got on the plane and left. And then in the morning, I took the paper and read that he bombed Tokyo. So I took it, I did not know. If I know it, I wouldn't have landed, I took the chance like that. But anyway, he was worried that we carried so many people in the C-47. And then when we got to Calcutta, not only the cabin was full, the baggage compartment, the door that goes in the baggage compartment, after we closed the cabin door, some people climbed up in the baggage compartment.
So you had stowaways?
Well, we had about 78, crew people, about 78. The plane only has 21 seats. But anyway, after that, when I went to America in 1943, and well, of course I saw Doolittle then, but we were talking about his, he said if he knew that I was going to land there, he would stay in Kunming.